It has been a while since I've made a video, and I'm going to assume that probably the vast majority of people who watch this or want to watch it after the fact have never really gotten a whole lot of engagement in live streams. But since I haven't been around for a while and I did kind of shut my channel down for a little bit, I wanted to kind of give everybody an update, let everybody know where I'm at. So this year I decided to take some classes and start kind of stacking healthcare certifications so that I have more options as far as different jobs. And right now I'm doing travel contracts, which most of you should probably know what that is. But essentially what happens with that is you get paid quite a lot of money to take a contract in another part of the country where you don't live, and you receive money for housing and food, or the company will pay for that directly. Just depends kind of on the contract. So with that being the case, right now I'm actually in Montana, and southwest Montana, and it started snowing this evening, and just probably 20 seconds, 30 seconds before I started this stream, I actually had a power blink in the hotel where I was at, and I thought, well, if I lost power, then now I'm not gonna be able to stream at all. But luckily the power did come back on. So the reason why I'm doing these travel jobs is just so I can make better money. I've got debt, medical debt mostly, and car debt that I need to pay off, and the good pay that is in this particular travel industry is something that I really just decided to take advantage of. I did a contract last year that lasted about 8 weeks, and then I started, going for taking classes to get more certifications and such, so that there are more options available to me. So with that being said, I would like to address a few things of the Orthodox nature, or relating to Orthodox Christianity. So a number of people have actually asked me, have you defected from the Orthodox faith? And the answer to that is absolutely not. I haven't been able to go to church as much as I would like to, but last year, while I was at a contract in southern Illinois, I was going to this small Antiochian parish, and I liked it there. It was a nice little community. I wasn't able to make it for Sunday liturgy, but I was making it for Vespers and Bible study and things like that in the evening, just because of my work schedule and that contract. And so, no, I haven't left the faith or anything like that. I wouldn't do that. I've always taken it very, very seriously, which should be obvious by the fact that I made an entire YouTube channel about it. So no, I haven't defected or anything like that. I don't, just because I haven't made videos for a while, that doesn't mean that I have gone in the direction of defecting or renouncing the faith or anything like that. It's just a matter of hadn't been able to make videos for a while, hadn't been able to go to church as much as I would like to. Although when I did get back home from the contract, I was going to church and trying to and I made it to Pascha and a number of other events and services and things of that nature. So I was not, again, not being able to attend as much as you like to and make videos, that doesn't mean that you're leaving a particular faith or religion. I've just been extremely busy. So with that being said, there are a few things that I would like to address specifically when it comes to Orthodox Christianity and kind of what's going on. Pull my chair up a little bit here. What's going on in Orthodox communities right now that I haven't really taken the time to give an opinion about. And so what's going on right now with the Ukraine war is very, very troubling to me, and I have heard multiple perspectives on whether or not the war is valid and whether or not the behaviors of the patriarchs are good or bad. And I'm a layperson who doesn't know a whole lot theologically compared to bishops and clergymen and people like that. But at the same time, I will say, in terms of Ukraine, the thing that troubles me is the claims being made by the Russian government is essentially that there was an ethnic cleansing of Russian people in Ukraine, like an extreme. Some people have almost described it like a genocide, or described it like a Holocaust or something like that. And And Putin himself said when he started the invasion earlier this year, he said that he's going to, quote, denazify Ukraine. Here's the thing. Are there white supremacists in Ukraine? Yes. But you can find white supremacists in virtually every country where there are white people, which is basically every country in the world. And there was absolutely no evidence, not a shred of evidence to support the claim that there was an ethnic cleansing of Russians. There just was not any evidence for that. And I think the Russian government used that as a ploy to try and invade Ukraine. And I don't necessarily know what Putin's intentions are. I'd like, people have been like, oh, well, he wants to reestablish the Soviet Union. He wants to, or he wants to try and be the next Tsar or something like that. I don't know. But what I do know is that he engaged in a war and has killed thousands of innocent civilians and innocent soldiers. It was just completely, there was no precedent at all for the type of military action that they took. And it was very, very sad. And I'm glad that despite the Ukraine being a much smaller country, Ukraine has done fairly well against Russia in terms of the tactics and such that both military agencies were engaging in. So they did very, very well at fending off Russia in many, many areas. So I am thankful for that. But personally, I think Patriarch Kirill's attitude here, I mean, the fact that he, hasn't condemned what the Russian government is doing and the lies that they've told is very disconcerting to me. And it is also problematic because, he probably knows that if he does denounce Putin for what he's done, which is the right thing to do, then he's probably going to get his head chopped off or shot in the back or something like that. It wouldn't surprise me because of the relationship that the Russian Orthodox Church has with its kind of political constituents. It would not surprise me at all if Kirill is just trying to keep his mouth shut, because if he knows if he does, Putin's going to have some very bad things in store for him, which is just an unfortunate reality of the situation. But it does kind of bring a new, because there's been tension between Russia and Ukraine since the fall of the Soviet Union, but something that I think is interesting to consider is that the recent military attack kind of shows a larger mentality of Russia trying to invade or attack other spaces. Again, you could say Putin wants to be the next Tsar, or there's a lot of speculation, and I don't necessarily know enough about their governments to really give a strong opinion on that. But it's very sad that what's going on here. But one thing that happened in the past that most people in the Orthodox world that opined, whether they were clergymen or monks or whether they were lay people even, something that most people did not agree with several years back is when Bartholomew decided to grant autocephaly, or I can't remember if it was autocephaly or autonomy, because I don't know, I just don't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, he granted that to the OCU Orthodox Church of Ukraine, and there are a lot of people that criticize him for that because they said that is way out of your jurisdiction, you're trying to be a pope, etc. And I kind of understand where they were coming from on that now because of the tensions between Russia and Ukraine during the since the fall of the Soviet Union. The people of Ukraine did want a church that was not, somehow under Moscow, because even though the Ukrainian Orthodox Church under the Moscow Patriarch had their own, metropolitan of Ukraine, they still, at the end of the day, he still answers to Kirill in Moscow. And I understand why there were a lot of Ukrainian people, because of the political tensions, why many Ukrainian people wanted a church that was independent from Moscow, that was independent from the Russian Orthodox Church, because of the very strong political implications there. And again, what Bartholomew did there was canonical or not canonical or followed canon law is that's not for me to decide, but I don't think because most people said, well, he's violating his jurisdiction initially. And my thought is that, well, maybe he didn't violate his jurisdiction as much as many people thought he did, and perhaps what he did was because they thought something like this might happen. But that aside, I find that whole situation very, very troubling, and I hope that it is resolved soon. Let's see if I have any comments here. Let's see. Let's see what we got. If I have any comments at all or messages from live chat. Using my phone right now because I'm having some problems with my computer's camera. All right. There are a few other topics that I would like to cover here while I'm here. And several months ago, there was a very interesting thing that had gone around about apparently our metropolitan of the Greek Orthodox Church here in or not metropolitan, I'm sorry, but Archbishop of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America is, Archbishop Epidophoros, and he went over to Greece, and you saw photos of this where he had baptized I can't remember if it was one infant or two infants that were apparently by the photographs of a gay couple, which a lot of people were like, whoa, what's going on with this? Because this seems to clearly violate the tenets of the Orthodox faith and sexuality and marriage and things of that nature. So a lot of people were like, what is going on here? And I thought maybe it was kind of like maybe they were both godfathers or something like that. But apparently when Epidophoros went over to Greece to do this baptism, he was and he had some type of canonical paperwork or something that they had to do because he was going outside of his jurisdiction, which is the United States, and into Greece to do this baptism. And he had listed the names of the godparents for either this child or these children. I again can't remember off the top of my head whether it was one or two children, but it was people have said basically he lied on that form. And a lot of people have said to begin with, they're like, Epidophoros is a very liberal bishop and blah, 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 blah. And it's just been kind of a cluster, because he's been the brunt of a lot of criticism. And I think, honestly, a lot of the things that he's done in the past were not actually that bad. And there were people that they had a very, very American conservative worldview because he is a bishop in the United States, and some of his leanings disagreed with their political ideology, and that's why they didn't like him. But this in particular, I think, is if it is what it looks like it is, then it is very, very problematic because, Orthodoxy is more lenient on sexual issues, I would say, than the Roman Catholic Church, but it still believes in heterosexuality as the proper design for marriage. And again, I don't care what people do on their own time, but the religion does have a particular teaching on those issues. So as I said, if this is what it appears to be, Epidophoros seems to have made a serious, serious error. And I could criticize him, and I obviously earlier in the video I made some critiques of Putin and of Kirill, but I'm not going to express real hatred. I don't think that is appropriate. I don't think that is appropriate as an Orthodox Christian. There has to be a degree of mercy and grace that I give to other people. So I try to give people the benefit of the doubt and not assume ill will, but we can just hope that if that appears to be what it was, that we can pray for Metropolitan Epidophoros, as well as many others within the Orthodox world who seem to be erring. And that's really all we can do. There's no point in, other than maybe having a discussion like I am now, there's no point in stressing over it or dwelling on it. It's just not helpful in any way. So that's what I wanted to address as far as religion goes. Now, as far as content created elsewhere, and I think I put a um, link in the description that was for another YouTube channel I made called Lulu's Perspective. I started using the name Lulu Mena um, as an internet name, mainly just because I don't want random people, especially employers or coworkers, just be able to look up my name and then find all of this content associated with me. So I've tried to reduce the amount of stuff on the internet that actually has my like legal name attached to it. I found out something happened last year from a coworker where I was helping out with a different branch of the company in a completely different part of the state, but the guy I was working with that night had also worked in. We had both worked in a different part of the state than we were at that night with each other. And apparently, this guy that I'd worked with this guy briefly at another job in 2017 and 18. He apparently had pulled up some of my videos on this channel on the Orthodox Lunatic and was showing it to other coworkers and laughing at what they saw, which I find very odd because a channel discussing religion in certain capacities is really not that strange. So why they thought it seemed to be so unusual and niche, I didn't really understand. But yeah, after that happened, that was kind of creepy because you have to think about it this way, that this guy that had known me from a previous job and, you know, had never said anything negative to my face, I mean, we got along, had basically looked up my name, found my YouTube channel, and just to show them to other coworkers, which is creepy because, you know, somehow I came up in conversation. I had to have, and he's like, oh yeah, here's these YouTube videos I found, which, you know, again, he had to search my name to find those. So that's why I've kind of adopted that name, because I kind of want to separate the content creation that I do from my legal name. You know, and there's many performers and artists in all types of different entertainment and content creation that do that. A lot of people, you look at a lot of celebrities, a lot of people don't even know their actual name. But that aside, the new channel at Lulu's Perspective is for all non-religious stuff. I'm planning to make quite a bit of content for that. And let's see if I got any new comments or anything here. Let's see. Nope, just one throughout the entire live stream. That surprised me. I've done a little bit of interaction with people in the past when I've done live streams, but a couple other things since I'm, you know, doing content on the channel that has nothing to do with religion. I did appear recently on a podcast that's, you can search it up on YouTube, Autism Wish as one word, or Embracing Autism podcast, where I talked about my troubled childhood as an autistic person. And then I discussed, I started working earlier this year on a memoir. I'm about, 42 pages now, discussing how I was a very, very troubled autistic child with a lot of behavioral issues who people was going to expect to be either institutionalized, incarcerated, or dead, and how I got from there to being a successful adult and the medical professional in the process and effort and such that it took to get me to where I'm at now. So I'll keep everyone posted on this channel when I plan to release that memoir and some of the other content associated with that. But yeah, I believe I've dropped the link in the description. If not, I will when the live stream ends, just because I'm doing it from my cell phone due to the computer issues. But it'll be, has just nothing to do with religion, you know, thoughts on current issues and legal cases and things to do with autism, disability, psychology, things like that. That's what that channel is for. It has nothing to do with Christianity or Orthodoxy or anything like that. So anyway, not much else I can think of. I think I have, 3 or 4 watchers right now. I mean, people could send over questions, although I don't know. Not really that much other information to provide other than what I've already given opinions on. So let's see what we got here. So yeah, it's about everything. Like I said, I'm gonna drop that. And I'll drop the link to the podcast that I was on as well. The episode, both on YouTube and Facebook, and they have a Apple podcast that has about 30,000 listeners, which they are gonna put the episode I was on the version on Apple Podcasts, which will get a lot more views than the initial one that they put online, which was a video. So otherwise, nothing else I can think of for now. Just gave a little bit of an update. Right now, again, I'm in Southwest Montana, and power blip just before I started this live stream, and it's a smaller town, even though the hospital system I'm working for is very busy because it serves like a 100-mile radius. But it's been enjoyable. It'll be different because of growing up in upstate South Carolina. My entire life it snowed maybe 4 or 5 days a year, and there's also a lot more people. The metro area is like 1.1 million people now, so being in a county of like 8,000 people or less, where it's like very close to the Canadian border, going to be snowing a good bit during the winter. It's a different experience, but if you don't have diverse experiences and you do a lot of different things in your life, you probably have a boring life. So at least that would be me. I would be bored, so I want to go on the next adventure, do the next interesting thing. So anyway, not much else I can think of, so I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream now, and I hope everyone has an excellent evening.